Star Wars means something different to everyone. To you, to me, it's all different. For some, it's the movie they grew up on. For others, it's the one that challenged what they thought Star Wars could be. Here on Clan Brandolorian, we're not chasing hot takes or outrage. We're talking legacy, storytelling, and why these films still matter decades later. Whether you're here to agree, to disagree, or just relive the galaxy far, far away, you're officially part of the conversation. Let's get into it. Everyone has their Star Wars movie. Everyone has their Star Wars show, their series, their characters. I mean, everything. Star Wars is all across the board for everybody. Today, I'm breaking down why these three movies take the stand above the rest. Welcome, everybody, to Clan Brandolorian. My name is Brandon. This is episode 1 of the self-titled podcast, Clan Brandolorian. I mean, we're here talking Star Wars every week, every Saturday, brought to you by me, and we will see some familiar faces, but for the most part, this will be kind of a solo podcast. We will have guests on, of course, the Friends of the Cantina and other content creators. I mean, this is Clan Brandolorian. I'm super excited. This is something I've kind of had sitting on the back burner, and I'm just so glad that it's here finally. So with episode 1, I wanted to start strong. There are 3 trilogies in Star Wars, and here we are picking one episode from each trilogy that stands above the rest. Now, to me personally, these are my favorite from each trilogy. Your opinions may differ than mine, or maybe you agree with mine. But at the same time, this right here is all my opinion. Let's go over some of the notes that I have. These are all personal favorites, not box office rankings. Nothing here is going to be ranked, none of that. We're getting straight into it, just the ones that stand atop. The context will matter, storytelling, themes, character arcs, etc. Each trilogy works as a package, not isolated films. Now, I am picking one film from the 3, but I'm not just going to be like, oh, this movie's not good. What we're going to do is we're going to see how those other movies in the trilogy, besides the number 1 that I choose, enhance that final decision. And I really wanted to put a lot of emphasis on the best movie is often the one that pays off everything. So of course, we're going to start in chronological order. The prequel trilogy. Now, this is a huge part of the Star Wars fandom, as you may know. I mean, if you're on any social media by any chance, you're going to see a lot of bickering. The prequel is the best, the original trilogy. The sequel love is definitely coming around, but I know plenty of people who love all Star Wars like myself who have a tough time believing which one's the best in their opinion. But at number 1, Revenge of the Sith. And now we're starting strong. I mean, I will say that, front and foremost, Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie in the entire franchise. And just to talk about the emotional payoff of Anakin Skywalker's fall. Now, I know some of it seems a little rushed, seeing episode 1 and 2, seeing how Anakin goes from a youngling in the Jedi Order up into trying to get the ranks of Jedi Master and ultimately is stopped by the Jedi Council. We follow Anakin's struggle ever since we see him in episode 1. And episode 3, in my opinion, it really plays it off. I mean, everything that we see with Anakin falling to the dark side, I mean, it's just so powerful. I mean, everything about it, seeing all the struggles that he has with Padme, his wife, Obi-Wan Kenobi, his best friend, his mentor, and the rest of the Jedi Council and everything that's going on. I mean, this is during the end of the Clone Wars. I mean, there's a lot going on and you almost feel nothing but, you just feel bad for Anakin. But at the same time, ultimately the decisions that he makes, it's obviously not for the better. And yeah, so I just kind of want to go off a couple notes that I have here, super bullet points. The next one going, tragedy done on a mythic scale. Now, everything with the dark side, Anakin falling, Palpatine basically grooming him, it's kind of sick. I mean, you look at Palpatine, this guy, I always like to say he's playing chess while others are playing checkers. It's one of those things where Palpatine is really running the show this entire time in the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. We do see a little bit of him in the Rise of Skywalker especially, so he's in a little bit of the sequel trilogy, but overall, even in the Mandoverse, Palpatine is still kind of, playing in the curtains. He's still there, and that's the one thing about Andor that I really loved is that you could feel Palpatine's presence without even seeing him, and that's just crazy. But kind of back to the point, with the mythic scale, it's super weird how the dark side is so prominent all throughout Revenge of the Sith. I mean, we see so many imagery of Sith artifacts that are in Palpatine's office, from stands to decorations. It's actually insane. And I remember, watching some YouTube videos in the earlier days, right before COVID, and kind of understanding that there's a lot of symbols in Palpatine's office. And that was something I would have never, never would have thought of firsthand. And it's just crazy how that was just actually a thing. Order 66 as one of the most devastating sequences in Star Wars. Now, we're looking at Revenge of the Sith as a whole. We, for the most part, should have all seen this movie. We understand the payoffs, we understand a lot of the fights, the falls, the upbringing of different arcs, and how everything basically falls into place leading into the original trilogy. Now, there is about 19 to 20 year gap between the two, but at the same time, this really leads up to what's going forward there. I feel like a lot of Star Wars fans, or even people that follow me on Instagram, TikTok, something I've noticed, especially in the Lego community, is people love the clones. And I mean, there's definitely a few clones that I absolutely love, especially from the Clone Wars and, Revenge of the Sith. My favorite clone is Commander Cody. Absolutely love him. Commander Goaty, the clone goat, in my opinion. It's crazy to know that a lot of fans are just so high on the clones. And it's something that comes down to Order 66. Some of our favorite clones, the Bad Batch, Rex, they kind of had that fallout where they're like, wait, what's going on? Clone Force 99, they were defective. They didn't really understand what the inhibitor chips were for. And just overall, the plot to destroy the Jedi, it wasn't really enhanced. They were the Bad Batch of clones, so they didn't really operate completely. More so, Crosshair has his thing, but Commander Cody, Commander Rex, Wolf, Gregor. I mean, there's so many clones that ended up falling into Order 66, and they basically obeyed orders, killed Jedi. It's pretty rough. And I will feel like in Andor, there's a lot of devastating scenes. I mean, Bix, Andor, him dying in Rogue One, everyone dying in Rogue One, actually, that may I add. Andor season 2 really showed the devastation on a different scale, and that was more so with the Gorman massacre. And that was something that was just ramped up in each episode, and you're just kind of waiting for it. We all knew it was coming, especially Star Wars fans who are staying up to date and like looking at leaks, knowing what's going to happen. It was super sad. I mean, those episodes were super devastating. I mean, even the way Cyril died, I mean, it threw you for a loop, and I feel like I'm kind of reliving those moments as I'm watching. But it's just something, I mean, outside of Order 66, especially in Revenge of the Sith, it was super devastating. You should be in your feelings. Now, leading up, Anakin ends up killing younglings. I mean, this is just, man, a character who is so beloved. I mean, even my wife loves Anakin Skywalker. She probably loves him because of Hayden Christensen, but I mean, you can never blame a woman for loving Hayden Christensen. I get it. But at the same time, I am just so, every time I think and watch Revenge of the Sith, I am just so glued to the fact that this movie has a good story. It has good pacing. It's quick, but at the same time, we get great action. We get great dialogue between characters. I mean, I absolutely love the bouncing back and forth between Anakin's POV to getting Padme's POV and how this all leads up. And especially from the original trilogy standpoint, we look at how Luke and Leia are born and how they become prominent in the original trilogy. Now, a lot of this comes from Revenge of the Sith, and it's so crazy to see that these characters from the original trilogy and Luke and Leia, we see them born, how everything kind of unfolded. And I mean, they're super orphans. It's super sad. And that's just something that Revenge of the Sith gives us is those POVs. I mean, really, you get to see Yoda's, Obi-Wan's, General Grievous, Count Dooku for a short period of time, ultimately Palpatine. I mean, there's just so many different, point of views that we get in this one movie to where you can really pick up most of the story. And that kind of leads into the greatest lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars. There's so many good ones, but this one is definitely in a league of its own. I mean, the duel on Mustafar. Now, this is an iconic scene, iconic moment. It's emotional, it's up, it's down, and it's just, I mean, there's a physical climax and a mental climax. I mean, we all had to have been on the edge of our seats. I mean, I remember being 8 years old in the theater, and just all the marketing was beautiful. I mean, the cereal boxes, it shows Mustafar, a lava planet with, Hayden and Ewan fighting each other. And it's just like, the toys. I mean, everything was just so good at that time, and it kind of makes me miss it. I mean, I miss simpler times. I feel like a lot of us could agree on that, and it's insane that this movie holds so much weight. And we're gonna talk about two other films that are really, really good that stand out number one. But I mean, it's so good. And I mean, let me know down in the comments, like, what are your thoughts of Revenge of the Sith? Where does it stand on your timeline? I just feel like this one is just so good. But the way it bridges directly into the original trilogy, and we kind of touched on that a little bit, but the way there's 19 years between episode 3 and 4, we have, I mean, so much content. I mean, I'm trying to think outside of the Disney era, what we had at first, just 6 films. That's all we had. And of course, the '03 Clone Wars. And I know those are not canon anymore. They're legends considerably. But at the same time, really good content. The thing for me, though, is I look at these films and the way that, Solo comes into place, the Bad Batch, Maul Shadow Lord's about to come out, and the Kenobi series. There's so many things that are in between that lead into the original trilogy. And I feel like the original trilogy, of course, it's like set between 3 years total. The prequel trilogy, Anakin's 9 years old up until he's about 23, 24. So we got a good 15 years, and it's a little more stretched out. But the way it leads into the original trilogy, it's different. I mean, it really is. And that's the thing that really helps with this movie is we see the construction of the Death Star. We see Anakin turn into Darth Vader. Darth Vader's the big threat, the big bad that's in the original trilogy. We don't really see too much Palpatine until, a little bit in episode 5. And he's pretty prominent in episode 6, Return of the Jedi. But it's just the way it's executed. I feel like George Lucas, starting with 4, 5, and 6, understanding that maybe technology could be a little bit better. That way he could really show Anakin's upbringing. I feel like it just couldn't have been any other way. This is just a great start to finish. So, I mean, obviously, number one, Revenge of the Sith. Now we can kind of dive into a little bit of bullet points here. I mean, the other 2 films, now that I'm older as a movie, I'm kind of like, they're fun. And just to set the record, any Star Wars movie that's on the TV or purposely put on Disney Plus, I enjoy every single piece of media that Star Wars has. Anything from The Mandalorian to the Book of Boba Fett to episode 2, Attack of the Clones, to episode 7, Force Awakens. So many different things all across the board, live action, animation. It's all good in my opinion. Some for sure are better than others, and that's okay. But at the same time, this right here, I do want to kind of introduce how The Phantom Menace and how Attack of the Clones help, even though, they're not my favorite movies, but I still enjoy them. So real quick, with The Phantom Menace, it introduces Anakin as an innocent, gifted child. And that's something that is very prominent to the story. I mean, episode 1 through 6 is all about Anakin. I mean, simply the offspring of Anakin Skywalker being Luke and Leia. They get a good trilogy to themselves, but more so, the prequel trilogy is all about Anakin and what leads him into being Darth Vader. And that's just such a fun topic to always talk about. Establishing the Jedi Order at its height and its flaws, a little bit in the Acolyte, going back 100 years before the Phantom Menace, we see kind of where the flaw of the Jedi start. The Jedi, quote unquote, the good guys, there's some things that they do where it's like, whoa, this is completely backwards. And it's not that you want to side with the Sith. It's all, point of view. But at the same time, I mean, it's kind of like the Empire. It's just kind of like it's a touchy subject. And I feel like you can't talk the Phantom Menace without mentioning Darth Maul. But, I mean, he's only prominent for so long, and it's kind of sad to know he's not really the big point of the movie. At the same time, going forward, we get the Clone Wars. We get to see a lot more of him. He's about to get his own show soon. So, prominent character, but at the time being, I mean, the Phantom Menace really sets up, his epicness, where we get to see the Duel of the Fates. Really cool. It really foreshadows Anakin's destiny. And a lot of people, have a hard time deciphering what Duel of the Fates mean. And I mean, you can take this for many different things, Qui-Gon's, his death overall, the fate of what Anakin Skywalker is next. I mean, the story could be completely different if Qui-Gon ended up training Anakin. Of course, Obi-Wan, in my opinion, GOAT Jedi, ends up training him and ultimately falls to the dark side. So the Phantom Menace definitely helps us. It grounds the artwork and the storytelling for Anakin Skywalker. But how did Attack of the Clones help it? Now, this shows off Anakin's instability and fear of loss. Of course, his mother dying at the hands of the Tuscans. It was very rough to see. This is something that really sets up, I mean, Anakin's hatred. I mean, this is the first glimpses. I mean, even Qui-Gon's Force Ghost is yelling at Anakin and trying to figure out what is going on and trying to stop him from leading into the dark side. It's a very sad moment. We get to see his attachment to Padme becomes a seed of his downfall as well. Which, another thing, Jedi cannot be in relationships. The fear, the hate, the anger, the jealousy, a lot of that can come in with relationships. Now, of course, those are toxic traits of a relationship, but the Jedi's main focus is to stay locked in on their duty, the Force, etc. So having a relationship or an emotional attachment to another person could ultimately lead you to your downfall. And we see that. I always do love the memes though, where people have pictures of Anakin and Padme from Attack of the Clones holding each other, and it's like, oh, I wonder. This makes sense why this man turned to the dark side and wanted to ruin the galaxies because he lost Padme. I mean, I understand. It's so funny. Love that touch. But Tusken Raider massacre is the first true step towards Vader, and of course, you can hear little hints of Darth Vader's theme throughout this entire little arc where Anakin ends up facing the Tusken Raiders and ends up slaughtering them, the ones who held his mother hostage on their camp. This also helps the Clone Wars set up, and it makes Order 66 hit even harder. Now, the Geonosis arena, that was all great. It kind of shows all the Jedi come together. I feel like it's just something insane being someone born in the time of the original trilogy and being able to see all of these Jedi. I mean, at this point, there's only one Jedi outside of Yoda and Obi-Wan's Force Ghosts that we see in the original trilogy. And just to see all of those Jedi with their lightsabers ignited, it's a pretty cool sight. But, I mean, the key takeaway, guys, is it's like Revenge of the Sith only works well because we watched Anakin fall for 2 movies first, but ultimately in episode 3, it really ramps up to where we're like, yeah, that's a downfall, all right. So, out of the prequel trilogy, if I was to keep one movie of the 3, Revenge of the Sith, and honestly, it's really not even close. So, let's go ahead and take a step forward into the original trilogy, and my number 1 of the original trilogy is Return of the Jedi. And why Return of the Jedi? Why is it the best? Let me tell you. The redemption of Darth Vader. Now, we just got done talking about Anakin, being the character he was in the prequel trilogy. We see him finally turn around with Luke Skywalker. His son pulled everything from him and allowed him to redeem himself. Now, it's super emotional. It's one of those things where Return of the Jedi, for me, Jabba's palace, the entire opening sequence, the Sarlacc pit, everything that has to do with that first 30 minutes of the movie absolutely seals the deal for me. Now, the final duel, love it. Battle of Endor, love it. Everything in Return of the Jedi is beautiful. But that opening scene, it always just holds me dear to Return of the Jedi. But, I mean, yeah, ultimately that redemption and how everything ended for Anakin / Darth Vader, it's truly beautiful. And Revenge of the Sith is right here, but Return of the Jedi is super close. I mean, I don't think it'll ever pass Revenge of the Sith in my book, but at the same time, it's so, so good. Luke Skywalker's ultimate test is the compassion over the violence. And especially after Empire Strikes Back, we know Luke was super fast to confront his enemy and to save his friends. So seeing Luke kind of grow older in a sense. I mean, even when we're at Jabba's palace, in the deleted scene, he's constructing his lightsaber, and the way he addresses Jabba the Hutt, it's chilling. I mean, it's super cool to see Luke apply that pressure, try to better himself. I mean, he has trauma. He's finally facing the fact of that Darth Vader, the number 1 Dark Lord in the galaxy, is his father. I mean, this is just insane, and he really accepts that in Return of the Jedi, and it's really cool, and it's very powerful. It's very powerful. The Empire, the Emperor, as pure and unapologetic. I mean, this dude is pure evil, and you see that. And it's always that thing with Palpatine that makes me mad, and you see that for the first time here in Return of the Jedi, is how he's so quick to replace somebody. I mean, we know how it rolls. I mean, the way Maul was easily replaced, the way Count Dooku was easily replaced, it's sickening. I mean, it's just insane how at this point, he's looking at Vader like chopped liver, and he's like, hey, I'm going to take his son in. Luke Skywalker could be my worthy apprentice. I mean, get out of here. Like, Palpatine sucks. The emotional core of the Star Wars is fulfilled here in Return of the Jedi. So, we grow with these characters. We see Leia. She's kind of going through things on her own. She definitely isn't a huge character in Return of the Jedi. Of course, I mean, we're really focusing on Luke overcoming his trauma from the previous episode. Han is, I wouldn't say, is sidelined or anything. Lando kind of gets his get back, especially help freeing Han Solo. I mean, the story completely changes at a 180 after the Jabba the Hutt sequence, but everything here, I mean, is completely fulfilled. I mean, on an emotional standpoint, everyone kind of gets their story, but at the end, the way they're all celebrating that the Empire fell, it's beautiful. It's something that's really cool, and I feel like you can't take that for granted here in Return of the Jedi, because it's kind of like, you know, the good guys won. The right people won. But ultimately, it ends the saga without undoing sacrifice. So the way Luke is able to put himself on the line to face his father, to face the Emperor, it's something. And I mean, the final duel, of course, on the Death Star 2 is the probably the most iconic lightsaber duel. Outside, I mean, the best, of course, is the Battle of Mustafar. Choreography wise, emotionally, physically, I mean, it looks amazing. But at the same time, the way that the final duel here between father and son, it's something that you can't take away from this film. And what I mean by that is kind of what holds the ending together. Knowing that Anakin Skywalker was able to be himself again and with his son. I mean, it only took, 22 to 23 years later. It's super sad. And that's something you kind of have to connect to as a viewer, is imagine what they're going through. Like, imagine if you went through that. It would be, that gets so sad. It's so sad. But let's look at how A New Hope helped this. Once again, a couple bullet points for each of the supporting movies. A New Hope, I mean, it establishes Luke as a hopeful and naive character. And same with Princess Leia. We see her right at the beginning. This also introduces Vader as an unstoppable force. It sets up the mythic hero's journey, and it makes Luke's refusal to kill Vader more powerful. Now, that's something that, I mean, we even look back in the way Luke blew up the Death Star, the way Obi-Wan was able to go into the Death Star and basically set up everything for Luke to advance further. So basically, in these later years of Obi-Wan, Ben Kenobi, he ran that way Luke could walk. You know what I'm saying? It's that analogy that just makes perfect sense here. The way it's all set up, and of course, A New Hope, it's the very first Star Wars film. It sets the groundwork. It could have been a standalone. It ended up getting a sequel to it, and that's something that is just purely amazing, because what if that was just all we got? I mean, there's more to the story. I think this really helps going forward. It sets the stone for Luke, Leia, Han, Chewbacca. Ben, of course, is a prominent character, especially with his Force Ghost, to help Luke train going forward. And this is, a lot of my friends, and I feel like a lot of the internet could agree that The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars film. Now, this reveals the father-son connection. It shatters Luke's confidence. This is absolute game over for Luke, and it's cool because we see the bad guys win yet again. Now, this darkens the tone, so Return of the Jedi, I hope, feels earned. Now, this is super dark. It's kind of gritty in some ways. I mean, Boba Fett and Darth Vader, I mean, you're kind of not beating them. Han ends up getting, frozen in carbonite, sent off to Jabba's palace. Our characters are broken and they're not together anymore. And it's super crazy to think like, these characters may not, get together again. And this is like the unstoppable force of the Empire and its workers. It really, really darkens that tone, 1000%. But in The Empire Strikes Back, this also helps that turning point with Vader going from villain into tragedy. And I feel like you look at Vader before the fight and you're like, this dude sucks. Like, I mean, everything he does to Luke and everything he does to the Rebel Alliance, it's just like, dude, you were so fighting for the wrong reasons. I mean, Vader, we knew him once as Anakin Skywalker, and especially in the Clone Wars, he stood up to anyone. It didn't matter who it was. And seeing him as a dark side user and being pure evil is so sad. But like it says, it turns Vader from that villain into tragedy. And that's just such a good thing to kind of go forward. But Return of the Jedi isn't all about winning. It's about choosing who you are. And you look at the growth of Luke Skywalker, of Leia Organa, Han Solo, even Chewbacca, the way they start in episode 4 and how it ends in episode 6, it's that goodness. It's that goodness in Star Wars. Amazing trilogy. But yep. So number 1, Revenge of the Sith. Number 2, Return of the Jedi. Now let's go ahead and dive into the sequel trilogy. This is the last trilogy until James Mangold makes his Dawn of the Jedi. James Mangold is making the Dawn of the Jedi film, and I think Simon Kinberg is getting a trilogy that's set later down the line. This may be the Rey trilogy, not sure. But the sequel trilogy, number one, we're going to go ahead and talk about The Last Jedi. Super controversial. I mean, this is one of the movies where it takes that risk, it takes that jump, and in my opinion, it works. The sequel trilogy overall is a fun trilogy. I mean, no matter how you look at it, let me know in the comments, do you like the sequel trilogy? What's your favorite from the sequel trilogy? But here's my notes here that I have and why The Last Jedi is the best. Challenges, legacy, failure, hero worship. Now, this challenges the legacy in many ways. I mean, the main one is we don't get Anakin Skywalker. We get his grandson, Kylo Ren. We get the light side, we get the dark side, and this is something where we want to see the OG characters get more limelight. We want to see Han, we want to see Leia, we want to see Luke, and all of them, and see what are they doing during these times. And we have a bunch of new characters. The hero worship. I mean, Poe Dameron, and it's amazing. I mean, the way these characters are set up. The Last Jedi in this way is we get to see Luke Skywalker as a broken legend. Now, a lot of fans don't like that because the books they read in Legends had Luke being a complete badass, being, basically Yoda. He has his own Jedi Academy, and we see a little bit of that, of course, in the Book of Boba Fett, where we get to see Luke opening up his Jedi Academy. It's cool, it's amazing, but Luke Skywalker being very OP in Legends kind of doesn't help this movie. I mean, do I want to see Luke Skywalker be a badass? So, I mean, it was so cool to see that in Mando season 2 in the finale, but here, I mean, he's older. He's, had the dabbles in with the dark side, and the way the light side was kind of helping himself be the leader that he wanted to be. And what doesn't help that at all is the way in the lineage that he goes down. It's something that he's seen. I mean, his father was the most evil person in the galaxy outside of Palpatine. So it's one of those things. Rey's identity is rooted in choice. It's not by bloodline. Of course, she is Palpatine's granddaughter. Rey's father is a failed clone of Palpatine. So super cool thing. The Last Jedi doesn't really touch on that, but just understanding Rey's identity going forward, that really helps. Kylo Ren as the most complex sequel era character. Yes, I love this so much because I always want to talk about Kylo Ren. I feel like this is the one where we don't see him with his helmet, of course, until episode 9. And you see a lot of Ben Solo. There's a lot of things, especially when they kill Snoke. When he dies, it's that dynamic that Kylo can now be free. And I mean, the way he's free, the way he wants Rey to take his hand, that way they could rule the galaxy together. I mean, it's a cool concept. I absolutely adore it. I mean, it's really, really good. The Force as a balance, it's not his destiny. And yes, we see Luke Skywalker overdose on the Force. He self-projected himself to fight Kylo Ren, to stand up against him, and to save the Resistance. And this was such a cool thing. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest flexes in all of Star Wars. And everyone, I feel like, is just so upset at the fact that Luke Skywalker isn't this big badass. He's big and badass right here. The dude literally force projected himself across the galaxy. And you're telling me that's not badass? I mean, he ultimately won in the end. It was kind of like the way Ben went out, Ben Solo, or Ben Kenobi. It's insane. I mean, they knew what was next. And this is something that's really, really cool to show that the Force is balanced. So, The Last Jedi, great movie. I could go without the Canto Bight scene. I mean, maybe with it being, 30 to 45 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. That's cool. I get the gist. The Force Awakens helps reintroduce Star Wars characters in a new generation. I mean, we talked about Finn, Poe Dameron, BB-8, a lot of those newer characters, Maz Kanata, super, super cool characters. But also it sets up that mystery around Rey, Luke, and Snoke. I mean, you don't know who's on what side. I mean, of course you want to split Snoke and Luke, but it's like, where is Rey going? Like, what side is she going to choose? This also establishes Kylo Ren's internal conflict. And I mean, this is something you can even read in the Legacy of Vader comics, is just how emo this guy is. I mean, I always never shut down that fact when people call him an emo boy, just sometimes how they do with Anakin. Same thing. It really is. It must run deep in those Skywalker roots. But The Force Awakens, of course, is just like A New Hope 2.0. It's intentionally to invite that expectation, bring in those fans. Like, look, bro, we haven't had Star Wars in 10 years in theaters. We're going to go out with a bang here, and we're going to kind of give you something you're familiar to, which I'm not mad at. I think it's a great movie. But let's go into The Rise of Skywalker, despite its issues, to see how this can kind of help it up. Now, with everything being said, I want to say that The Rise of Skywalker has the second best opening in all of Star Wars. I mean, I don't want to say, argue with the wall, but you might have to. I mean, the way we see Kylo Ren going ham, getting the Sith Wayfinder, finding Exegol, pointing his lightsaber at Palpatine's face. I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, sign me up 7 days a week. This shows the consequences of rejecting The Last Jedi's ideas. Some of the characters, the way they're supposed to go out, the way their story is supposed to go on, we don't see some of that in The Last Jedi. I mean, Finn, Poe, I mean, they're heavily sidelined in this. This also highlights why The Last Jedi's themes were so bold. Now, Rian Johnson was the episode 8 director. Episode 7 and 9 was all by J.J. Abrams. That's something I wish we would never do again. If we'd have a trilogy, no more splitting. I mean, we can have 90 heads working on the movie, but one director. We don't need 2 directors in a trilogy. We don't need that. But, I mean, this reinforces The Last Jedi as the thematic heart of the trilogy. Now, with that being said, I feel like most people didn't really like The Rise of Skywalker, but I feel like if anyone's to pick a movie from the sequel trilogy, it has to be The Last Jedi, right? I mean, the movie is very good in itself. The Rise of Skywalker also helps The Last Jedi stand stronger in hindsight for many fans. I mean, the way if you really don't like The Rise of Skywalker, you kind of have The Last Jedi to bounce off of. But my main thing about The Last Jedi, it does not destroy anything Star Wars. It's about asking why it matters. I mean, this one is super important to the Star Wars franchise. So we have episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We have episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And lastly, we have episode 7, The Last Jedi. These are the top 3 films pulled from each of their trilogies. Which one's the best? We got 3, 6, and 8. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for joining me for this first episode. It was a breeze. Super fun doing this. And of course, I mean, you guys don't have to agree with me. We are all entitled to our own opinions. But if you felt something strong watching these, consider subscribing. Consider liking the video. Lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. And also lets me know that Star Wars is doing its job, bringing us all together. This has been a blast. But ultimately, everything down in the description. Go follow us on socials. Be sure to check us out every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. We go live, me and the homie John, at the Boba Fett. Talk a lot of Star Wars, Lego, a little bit of Funko here and there, a lot of news and theories. And we just vibe, just like this podcast. And I am so, so glad that you guys joined me for this little, what are we sitting at? Yeah, a little 35, 40-minute podcast episode 1. I feel like we kicked it off right. Really, really appreciate you guys. And please engage. Let me know down below anything. Did you like something? Did I say something crazy? And you're like, bro, you can never say that again. I mean, just let me know down in the comments. But with all of that being said, we will see y'all in the next one. Clan Brandolorian, episode 2 next week. Y'all take it easy.